This is the Montana Outdoor Podcast, brought to you in part by Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer in Missoula, home of Boss Snowplows, CM Truck Beds, and Diamond Sea Trailers. Just go to rmtte.com for more information. And by Superior Hardwoods of Montana, home of the largest selection of in-stock high-end wood products and flooring in the western United States. Let them guide you through the woods at superior-hardwoods.com. Now, get ready for more fascinating topics and the most interesting people you will ever find in Montana's great outdoors. We offer new podcasts most every Saturday. You can get a link to these podcasts by going to our website, montanooutdoor.com, or by going to our Facebook page, or just send an email to Downrigger at montanooutdoor.com and say send a link to my email. It's that simple. Now let's head out with your host, Downrigger Dale, and see what's going on in Montana's great outdoors.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much, Manny, for that wonderful introduction. I am Downrigger Dale, as Manny just said, and this is the Montana Outdoor Podcast. You know, we've been having so much fun with this podcast. Our first year of doing this, we had a ton of people from the Montana Outdoor Radio Show that, of course, I also am on with the captain and the crew. And we kind of branched out as word got out. You know, I've always said that Montana's kind of this mystical, magical place where I think the farther people are away from it, the more magical it becomes and they get interested. And now I'm just overwhelmed with how many of you out there all around the world. I know it. We've got a lot of you that are serving our country over in Ramstein Air Force Base, over in Italy, down in Australia, of course, Iraq, and many other places around the world. Some of you don't tell me exactly where you are, and that's okay. And then just a lot of you that live in other countries that have really enjoyed our podcasts and that. And then, of course, the whole state of Montana and the surrounding states. You guys have been great, and I love your questions and all your pictures. But we're going to shift gears. We've been spending a lot of time on the water and talking about different fish, but today, when this podcast airs, so I'll call it today, is opening day. This is opening day of archery season in Montana, and archery has become so popular. When I was growing up a million years ago, back in the caveman days, you know, it was pretty much all rifle hunting, very little archery, and that I really think in a lot of areas now, there's probably more archers out than there are rifle hunters. And so we want to talk about that. And met a guy that has a real fascinating theory about hunting elk and going after the big bulls. Shawn Plakke is his name, and I'm going to have him come in now. Shawn, welcome to the Montana Outdoor Podcast. Good to have you here. I can't wait to go through this whole theory. I've heard about it. I haven't heard the whole thing, but you did this, what was it, a few years back with Camp Cook, right?
Yep, a few years back. Me and Camp Cook did it.
And, you know, for those of you probably recognize that name, Camp is often on the Montana Outdoor Radio Show. Haven't had him on the podcast yet, but I'm sure he's going to be making an appearance. But before we get into this theory, and folks, I think you're going to be absolutely fascinated by this. Make sure you download this podcast so you can keep it. Of course, if you don't, it'll be hanging out in our website this whole time. Tell us a bit about yourself, Shawn, and how you got involved in dragging around a bow and going after critters in the big sky country.
Well, I was born and raised here in Missoula. I now live in Superior.
Mm-hmm.
I give all the credit to hunting to my father. He was a big archer.
Okay.
Got me into that. Him and another gentleman when I was a little kid, they went bow hunting and came home with what I thought then was a unbelievable bull, which it was. He got it up north of here. My dad did the calling on that. So ever since then, I've kind of been addicted.
Yeah.
I wanted to shoot a bull like that.
Isn't that the way it seems to go? It's kind of like same with fishing. You finally catch that great big one, the one you've always been going after, and then it's like, I can't stop.
That's right.
I got to have it again.
That's right. The first elk bugle you hear, you're addicted.
Yeah. And the part, and full disclosure here, I've never hunted archery. I always wanted to. I got a little banged up in a car wreck a while back, and then I realized my archery days were probably behind me. But I will live vicariously through you, Shawn, and learn a lot here from you. You folks, I think, are really going to enjoy this. Now, so you got started. How old were you when you got started?
Well, I've been shooting a bow since it had the little fiberglass, thin string ones that shot the wooden arrows with the blunt tips. I honestly, 5 or 6 years old, have been shooting a bow.
Mm-hmm. And now, where's your favorite places to hunt?
Montana. I'm not going to get specific on that, and I think everybody can respect that, but
we're not going to squeeze out of you that place where the prize bull is.
No. There's a lot of places in Montana I enjoy. Mm-hmm. Some of them I enjoy better. I like to hunt dark timber bulls. And as I get older, I like to hunt the open country too.
Yeah. Now, do you like backcountry better than say your typical public land and things like that, or do you just go where?
Well, that if we're going to be in for a week, we set in a camp.
Okay.
One thing with setting in a camp, if you do your scouting and the elk are there and you know it really well, it's worth the time. But one thing, if you set up a camp, the weather can change, the elk can move a lot, move out. So you're kind of limited to that area unless you're going to pack up and pack out. I don't mind at all going in a couple hours before daylight and going and hitting some ground.
Well, now you equate going after these bulls to like going to the bar.
Yes, I do.
Like a single guy going to the bar.
Yep.
Maybe he's might meet somebody, or we might get into a tangle with somebody. So maybe before we get into this whole theory, how do you do your scouting? What dictates where you go, and then what advice would you give someone? Let's say like me, I've never hunted before. What advice would you give me to do the right kind of scouting to set up that hunt come opening day?
Well, scouting all starts in the spring. Mm-hmm. And people are like, in the spring, the elk aren't even in the same places. No, they're not. They're absolutely right. But where the last snow to melt off in the spring is where it's the coolest in the fall. Those are the coolest pockets of the mountain. In the fall, that's where those bulls are headed. They're heading to that cooler weather, the north slopes, and, staying cool, just like humans. When it gets hot, where do humans go? To water.
Yeah.
They go to water. Mm-hmm. You won't see anybody at the beach in the spring.
Right.
Come summer when it gets hot, guess what? There they are.
Right. So, yeah, and I guess going with your bar theory, you kind of go to the bar that's got the best band or the hottest girls, or
right, or the most popular.
Yeah, most popular place. All your buddies go.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of what the elk do. They're going to go where they're going to be comfortable and that. So you identify those places, then what do you do?
I'm not much of a boots on the ground hiking and stomping through there. Okay. May go in, set up some game cameras. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I like to set up from afar with a spotting scope, check the slopes, stuff like that. Tracks are a big giveaway. If there's tracks, there's elk.
Okay.
So I'm not a big guy to go in and just stomp around all the country that I plan on hunting. That's for sure.
All right. So now you're out scouting. You don't like the big boots on the ground and running around. Why is that? A lot of guys, they swear by it. Why do you not?
I don't. I just think the less human activity in there, the better. They're going to be comfortable. It's like a lot of people walking around our houses, they're walking on the sidewalks and stuff. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
You're right. Even though it's your own home. Mm-hmm. But elk are different. They'll find a place where they're safe, they're secure, they have food, water, and shelter. They really don't need much more. So if you have all three of those, you're going to have elk generally in that area. Mm-hmm. And if they're not in one, they might be over the ridge in the next one.
So really just identifying where they're probably going to go, that it fits all those descriptions that you made. Okay. So now you've got the place where you think, okay, come this Saturday, I'm going to bag me a big boy. So let's talk a bit about this analogy of going to the bar. Where did you come up with this and all that? And then let's just get into it.
Well, before we do that,
Okay.
I want to let everyone know this is the reality of elk hunting and human nature. Okay. I don't want to offend anybody, which I shouldn't.
No.
If people, I'm telling you, the people that I've shown this and taught this to, they have come back and said, my God, what a difference. What a difference. You were right. So even the bow hunters out there that are successful or good hunters and everything, you should be able to pull something out of this, because what this comes down to is how you call. Okay. When I first got into guiding, I could call, I could bugle. Okay. I could bugle, I could cow call, I could do everything. So my second year of guiding, one of the other guides, he was filled out, and he was an older guy. He was filled out fast. And I'm like, my God, man, what are you doing? And he goes, well, kind of a quiet guy. I talked to him on the phone. Hey, I'd like to have you come in. I guide a few hunts. And never hear from the man again till the day I told him to be there, and he'd show up. He had an old Dodge pickup with a camper and his dog, and he would show up. This guy was just a mountain man that you just didn't hear from, right?
Yeah.
But he was always loyal in there. So I talked to him about it, and I'm like, well, what do I need to do? You know, and I was kind of young and cocky. And I'm like, what do I need to do? And he goes, you can call. He goes, you can call better than most people I've ever met. He goes, but you're saying all the wrong things. And I'm like,
oh, okay.
I was like, really? And he's like, what you got to do. And then he gave me this tip, which is the number one tip here that everybody's got to listen to. When you're calling elk or you're listening to an elk call, okay, a single tone bugle, a bull bugle in a single tone is bugling to a cow. Multiple tone bugles are a challenge. They're bugling to another bull. So with that said, we'll carry on with this a little bit later as I go through the bar to the, human to elk. Okay. It's going to make sense.
So speaking that, you're saying all the wrong things. So here's this single tone. The guy's looking for gals, and you're answering back, hey, you want to throw it down? Let's go. And he's like, whoa, that's not what I'm looking for.
That's right.
I got you.
That's right. That's how that works.
Or vice versa.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
So we'll discuss that as I go through the bar scene, I guess, if you will. And the bar scene is hours to humans, of course, from 5 o'clock when they get off to probably 2 o'clock when the bar closes.
Got it.
Okay. The elk side of that are the times of the months that we got the rut going, or the beginning of the rut to the end of the rut. So this is how it's all going to break down. And I'll do my best to get the time right for what it is in the months, but people will get what I'm saying. They will understand.
So 5 o'clock at night, when the bars are just starting to get going, that's kind of the beginning of the rut.
We're looking at mid-August right now.
And when we get into almost 2 a.m., rut's about over.
Yep. Peak. The peak's over. Peak's over at midnight, 1 o'clock. And then you got some carryover. You got some cows that didn't take yet.
Right.
So that comes on later. The second estrus comes in. That's later on November. I mean, I've called elk in the rifle season.
And sometimes sitting at a bar can seem like from 5 to 2 is
exactly
September
right.
to November.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So let's get into it. So here it is. It's opening day of archery season. We want to get after the elk, so it's 5 o'clock and you just got off work.
Just got off work, so you're going to dress up a little bit. Okay. So with that said, just give an example of how we're going to describe humans to elk. Okay. The guys are getting off work, go home, brush up a little bit. The bull's at 5 o'clock. Okay. Beginning like right now, August, September, they're polishing their horns. They're getting ready to go out. See what I mean?
See
where I'm going with it?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is where we're going to roll through the clock and the months. Remember, the elk is months, and the clock for humans, the clock for humans is time.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to carry on with this.
Yeah, let's
right.
do it. All
Okay.
right, I've got myself cleaned up, showered, got some clean clothes on.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm ready to go out.
You head down to your favorite watering hole. You go down, you belly up with your buddies to the bar. The gals have come in with their friends. They're all kind of at a table over there, just kind of having a few. And you're just kind of looking around, see who's available. Okay. So on the elk side of that, they're starting to check the wallows. They're starting to check all the watering holes.
Okay.
And what they're looking for is scent, obviously. Okay. Seeing what's coming in, heat, any activity and stuff like that. If there are cows in the area. So that's their end of their bar.
Okay.
Okay. So in the evening, you've had a few, with your buddies. Okay. As the clock rolls around, you get 6, 6:37, between 6 and 8, let's say. You got a few in you now. Now you're feeling a little tipsy. Now you're a little looser.
Yeah.
You're pulling the shirt out, kind of relaxing.
Yeah.
The girls are doing the same thing at their table.
Right.
Now they're laughing. They're laughing louder. They're mingling and stuff like that. So the elk, same thing. The testosterone starts to build as the cows start to come into heat. So these elk, again, these bulls are looking for a mate. Okay. They're looking to build a harem, or slip in and get one that another bull's already built up. So again, the humans, it's the alcohol consumption.
Right.
And the elk, it's the estrogen and testosterone that the estrogen for the cows, and the bulls are getting testosterone.
So that's their alcohol.
That's their
Got
alcohol.
it.
That's
Okay.
their alcohol. Okay. So then as the humans go on, we'll go into the human here. Okay. Everybody 9 o'clock, you're getting up 9, 10, 11. There's people are mingling now. Now people are standing. The place is getting more and more people in there because more and more people are out to have a good time and to see who they can meet.
Yeah.
And
Band's
now-
starting to play some pretty good
right.
songs.
Now you got guys that were eyeing the gal at the table at 5:30,
Yeah.
kind of looking at her and she looking at him. Now they're kind of talking and a little bit of mingling, right?
Right.
Well, then here comes some other guys. Okay. We'll say they're better looking, better built, however you want to put it. They're going to start looking at the same females. Okay. So you got to be careful when you're calling. Okay. All this comes down to the calling at the beginning of the season. Say right now, or this weekend, today, you don't go out just firing off bugles. You want to go in, and the first thing you want to do, never start out with a bugle. Start out soft cow call. Remember, elk have great hearing. They don't have cars and trucks and been shooting guns without ear protection.
Right.
They don't have that. They
rely on it big time.
They rely on it for their self-defense. They rely on that. But so you don't have to go screaming out through the woods. You get up there and do a soft cow call first. And as you can imagine, the elk are going to pick up like, what did I just hear? Then you follow it up with another one. Then, okay. So going back to the single tone bugle to a multiple tone bugle, a bull responds. You cow call. And he responds with a single tone bugle. You want to answer back with a cow call. Okay.
Okay.
And at that point, you want to slip down. You got to get in their bedroom. You got to get as close as you can. I watch hunting movies and I hear guys, well, I was 120 yards from them. Well, if you have 120 yards, unless you're in the desert, you can get close to that animal.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And you'll hear, if that bull's advancing towards you, you'll hear a single tone bugle. And every now and again, he may throw in a multiple tone bugle. He's seeing if you have a boyfriend with you.
Okay.
Okay. At that point, a cow doesn't respond to that. And the last thing you want to do is respond to a bull bugling. So he's knowing you're single.
So he started out and you're doing a cow call. He's responding. So now all of a sudden he throws a challenge call into you, multiple tones. So now a hunter might be tempted to say, oh, well, now I better respond that way. You're saying, nope. He's just checking because you got to know each other. Cow call to bull response. Got it.
Yep.
Good idea. Okay.
So you want to get down in there and obviously don't go down through there like a steamroller, but walk and just cow call real soft as you go. Set up. Every time you set up to call, be ready to shoot at this point.
So in other words, this is kind of like when you're doing that, the bull throws out a little challenge just to see if a boyfriend's there. In human standpoints, that might be where you're looking to see if she's wearing a wedding ring or something.
That's right. Yep. Or the guy says, hey, she's with me.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
And if not, then you know how things play on.
To move a little closer.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So now you're once you get to that point, you are ready to shoot. Now you're just you're waiting for the right shot. Take us to the next step.
Well, okay, so you don't know where that bull's at.
Right.
Okay.
We know he's there, but we don't know
he's
where.
responding. You know he's responding to you. Mm-hmm. You got to work close. If you don't know where he's at or you're unsure, set up. And one little tip, always set up in front of what you're hiding at, I guess, instead of behind it. I've had hunters I've guided. I put them up ahead of me and they set up behind the brush, and literally 5 yards on the other side of the brush, there's a bull walking. You've got to set up in front of it so you have the shot. That's what camo's for. And movement. Don't be moving around a bunch. Be set up like you're going to. I prefer, in mountain, timber to stand. Because when you're down, you got fireweed, you got downed logs, you got all kinds of stuff. And you can rotate more as you're standing. If you're down on your knees, you can't rotate as much as you can if you're standing. Stand, I always lean against the tree. So I kind of blend in and I just sit with my hand on my release. And if I see the bull, I just sit there. If he's coming, don't call.
Mm-hmm.
Don't call. They already are coming. You've already done your job. They're coming in. Worst thing people do, bull's coming in, they cow call. Well, that cow or cow sounds close to the bull. He's going to stop and look around like, what's going on? That's close. I can't see you. Right? Just sit there. If they start to veer off a little bit, move 1 foot, make some noise with your feet.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to cow call. And if they're kind of walking away and you have an opportunity, like their head's behind a pine tree or something like that, cow call real soft. And how to do that. Okay, so when you're calling and a bull's veering off and he's going away from your direction, but he's still looking, you want to use your reed and you want to say, hey, really softly. Hey, yeah, hey, like that, just real soft. Get him to turn back. Mm-hmm. And you just want to let him know you're there. But you don't want to broadcast. You don't want to be screaming. You don't want to be doing any of that. That isn't going to work.
Just a subtle, kind of like you're saying, hey, through the reed a little bit.
Right. Hey, I'm right here. Hey.
And I know you don't have the right reed with you, but just kind of try it a little bit here and just to give us just a little idea.
Just a little bit of, hey, where are you going? I'm right here.
Okay.
I'm right here.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you still don't see him yet, correct?
No,
okay.
You don't see him. But if he's bugling, he'll bugle a single tone bugle. He's looking for you. Mm-hmm. Okay. Just give him a little, hey, I'm right here.
So it's in our language, that's a little wave at the gal.
Yep.
Seeing if she waves back.
That's right.
If she waves back, okay.
There you go. Yep.
She was waving at me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Or comes up and says, hey, what's going on? Kicks up a conversation. That's the same kind of thing. Because remember, these bulls, they gather a harem. They're gathering more than one. So you got to remember that when you're calling in the elk, he doesn't want to get too far from his cows unless it's a bull just starting to gather, which beginning of the weekend, like right now, I've already seen elk, they've got cows. Mm-hmm. There's some bulls already have cows, and every part of the state's going to be different, of course. But in the West here, there's bulls with cows. So they've started a little early. So you want to be careful that you're not pulling them too far away because they don't want to lose what they already have.
Right. Yeah. So what kind of dictates that? If he's just not coming anymore, then are you going to start to advance?
Or if he turns and starts going back down, but he's still bugling to you, he's going back down to the cows he already has. So at that point, advance up. If you get in his comfort zone where he feels he can leave those cows and come up and grab you and take you back, you can generally get on him like that.
Okay.
Let him know.
So if he turns it away, that isn't necessarily time to give up. Right. Now he's just saying, hey, this is as far as I'm going, but if you want to join me, come on.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Can't see you yet, but
right.
Yeah.
Right. Unless they get nervous or, sometimes they'll circle trying to get your wind. And that's a tough one. Mm-hmm. Trying to fight the wind when you already have a bull coming in. I always like, if I locate a bull, I like to be on the same plane as them, not up, not down, because the thermals, it's the same for you if you're on the same plane on the mountain. So I will cut down and get on the same elevation as the elk I'm trying to hunt.
Okay, so when you say plane, you mean elevation.
Elevation.
Okay.
I just have had more luck with that, and I've had more luck, and I know this is going to be an argument. This is talking Ford and Chevy. Mm-hmm. This is talking politics right here, but it's easier to bring a bull uphill than it is downhill. And my belief on that, just like us, we can see further downhill than we can uphill because you can't see over the crest. Mm-hmm. So bringing a bull uphill is better. So if you have great wind and thermals are coming up and you got a bull below you and he's too close, don't try to get parallel with him. Just go ahead and start to work that bull.
Mm-hmm. So how close are you trying to get here? I mean, what for you? What's your optimum
For the shot?
Yeah, for the shot.
For the shot?
Distance.
Well,
Or am I getting ahead of us here?
No, that's touchy because there's so many guys. I mean, there's guys
Sure.
that can shoot 100 yards, right?
Yeah.
Is that the right thing to do? I'm not a big fan of it, but I know people who have shot elk at 90 to 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that by the time that arrow gets there, that elk takes one step, you've hit him in the wrong area.
Mhm.
So, but that's, you know, different situations, different hunters. I'm not going to say what situation they were in because I don't know, but I like to be, you know, 60 yards. 60 yards is about my
Okay.
limit.
So
But,
60 yards or closer.
Yep, 60 yards or closer.
Okay.
You know, 30 yards is kind of the money spot. You know, if you can get 30 yards, that's a pretty good shot.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay.
and a lot of guys practice at 30, you know, as just getting their shoulders in shape.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now we're at this kind of a, I assume, a rather touchy spot, which is very much like being in the bar. You've gotten a wave, you know, you wave, she wave back. You're kind of making eyes at each other. Seems to be going okay, but you're not sure if you ought to move closer to her. She isn't coming up and saying, "Hi, my name is." So what do we do now?
So now at that point, there's a lot of the other guys that have already had enough to drink. The
Mhm.
gals have been drinking, so they're all starting to mingle. So there might be a few guys going up and talking to her. So it's, if you want to be first, you got to be first,
Right.
right? You got to get in there first. But remember, these elk, they have more than one. So getting in on these bulls and the cow calling, you know, but real soft. Don't be screaming at them. But there is a call later on in the evening as a human, and later on in the
Yeah.
rut. There's a call, and this is where it's a little iffy. I call it the drunk blonde at 2:00. All right. All right.
Wait, we've all been there.
You-
I get it.
It sounds like you're screaming like a baby. It's a whine. It's a real whine. And that is, and I learned this from a veterinarian that I was guiding actually in New Mexico told me. He goes, "You know why those bulls come to that call so hard?"
Mhm.
And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "Because a cow is actually, the uterus is in pain. And the way to fix that is to get bred.
Mhm.
So they're in pain. Cattle do it.
Sure, yeah.
And so that's the way of fixing that. So it's like a for sure thing. And the bulls, when you make that call and you're like, they call it a hyper lip. There's a number of names for it and calls that are out there for it, but it really sounds like a baby crying. It's a desperation. And the bulls love it when they're in the right area of their testosterone, because later on, say we get it between 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock. Okay. On the human clock.
Mhm.
Okay. Those females are getting more drunk. Well, what they're doing is they're actually letting their guard down. Right. And the
Mhm.
guys, heck, at this point, they're, you know, when you get there at 5 o'clock, you're kind of looking around trying to be impressive, you know, or something. And you kind of throw a caution to the wind. Well, I'm going to go talk to her.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go talk to her.
Well, and you know, we forget that, you know, as us single guys when we were younger, heck yeah, we wanted to go meet somebody. Well, you forget that the gals want to meet somebody too. You know, so you may be looking at it as, you know, the blonde getting close to 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, it could be the other way, where it's that good looking guy in the Wranglers at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're going, I better make a move here because he's just a little too shy.
Yep.
Got
And that's
it.
when you're going in on those elk, and when you start blowing that hot cow, where it's like I am in heat, I am ready. You got to be ready, because them bulls are coming. They will come, but you always watch behind you, watch everywhere you can, because other bulls, generally satellite bulls or whatever, will come in. They will sneak in trying to get on there too.
Mhm.
You know, trying to grab her.
So how does this work? So are we, when we get to that, say 10, 11 o'clock, is that kind of where we're at right now on the clock? Okay. So are we still working that same cow at this point, or have we kind of lost her and we're working on something else?
Great question. Because
Okay.
at that point, there's a lot of gals now that have
Sure.
thrown caution to the wind. So now you could be possibly working a couple, but also the guys are also too. So now you've got a little bit of chaos. This is where the guys walk by each other. Maybe they give a little elbow.
Sure.
There's a little, I'm not moving for you. I mean, anybody on here, not everybody, but there's a lot of guys on here who know exactly what I'm talking about.
Sure.
That's where the elk, that's where the pushing, the shoving,
I was talking to her.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
you go find somebody else to talk to. We're in a conversation. You don't need to butt in. Very true. Happens all the time.
That's right. It does. It does. And that's where if people do their calling during this time that we're talking at the bar, like you're not going to go in at 5 o'clock and start screaming. You're not going to walk in the bar and I'll fight anybody. It isn't like that. Now you get up 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, there's some guys in there being loud and I could take this whole place on and
Sure. We've all met that guy.
Yep. And so at that point, you know, the game's on because there's so many cows in heat. The bulls now are in the rut. They've smelled what they're after. The big bulls have been up defending their harems. They're getting tired. They're making mistakes. And you get in, but you can still call those bulls. You know, a lot of people say you can't call those big bulls late in the rut when they're already haremed up. And they're right in a lot of ways. But one way I have called big bulls, and I've had hunters shoot big herd bulls late in the season, is you call the cows off. So what you want to do is same with a reed. You want to say me is a calf in distress, but you've got to be ready. If you're going to do the me call, you've got to be ready because those cows are thundering in thinking something's got a calf.
Right.
Okay. So they come in and
they don't care if it's their calf or not.
That's right.
They're all in the herd now. They're going to protect that calf.
That's exactly right. And that works at all stages of this with the elk. You can use the me call because there's calves already. Okay. So if you live in an area where you can shoot either sex, great. Well, if you want to shoot a cow, it's a great way to call in a cow because they come.
But if you're going after that bull, the idea here, I assume, is that bull is going to see those cows moving and he's going to go, what's going on over there?
Yep. He doesn't care about the calf. He doesn't care about that calf. No. What he's going to do, circle around, try to push those cows back down to where he had them, where he knew they were safe. And that's exactly it. He's coming up. He could care less about that calf at this point. He's worried about making another calf.
Right.
So
wants to keep the ladies all together.
That's right. But I'm telling you, if you're going to set up on this and you're going to do this, you've got to be ready because those cows are looking. They kind of come in dodging. It's kind of, they come in fast. They come in kind of dodging and they're looking. Any movement they pick up on, you know, because that's their defense. Their eyes and their ears and nose.
Well, Shawn, we're going to take a quick break here and talk a bit about one of our sponsors. But when we come back, I'll give you some time to think about this while we're doing our break. So think about this, that when do you change the game plan when you all of a sudden you've been working this bull and now you're hearing other bulls? When is it time to rumble, I guess, or to change and say, okay, I still want to pull this bull in, but now I'm going to change the strategy a little bit and I'm going to be a bull. So let's talk about that when we come back right after this. First, though, I want to talk a bit about Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer. When you're ready to invest in a new or pre-owned cargo trailer or a truck bed or whatever you're looking for, they're ready to, and I love how they explain this. They say, you know, Dale, we're just ready to exceed people's expectations. That's what we're going to do. They're very proud to be dealers of very top quality brands. And I think these brands all kind of gravitated to Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailers because of their reputation. They carry CM truck beds, top of the line. Diamond C trailers, again, top of the line. If you want the right trailer, that it's sitting there waiting for you. They have a great selection, and if they don't have it in stock, they're going to track it down for you and get it done. They have, I think, probably the best sales department there. They have financing. They service what they sell. These days, unfortunately, not a lot of trailer companies even do that. They do. They, of course, have an on-site parts department as well. So whether you're going to fix it yourself or you need them to do it, they got you covered there too. Their experience is second to none. In Montana, you know, towing a trailer is kind of like second nature for most of us. We need it. You got to have the right trailer. they've got it there at Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer. For those of you that may be first timers that, it's about time I get a trailer, I don't even know where to start. Easy. Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer. They will guide you right through it and get you the right trailer for what you need. They're not the kind of folks that are going to oversell you or anything like that. They're located at 5680 Expressway. That's in Missoula, Montana. You can call them 406-549-4243. Another great way to check out what I'm talking about here is just go see them online. That's rmtte.com. rmtte.com. Go there. You can take a look at what they do. You can learn more about the company. And I'll tell you what, from that day forward, you're going to say, yep, those are the folks. When I need the new truck bed, when I need the trailers, or come this winter when I need a Boss snowplow, that's who I'm going to see. Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer. They're the best out there.
And we're back here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast. Shawn Plakke is my guest. Boy, we're having a fascinating discussion. I've never thought of looking at it this way, but he's found a really fascinating way of equating going to the singles bar, if you will, the same as how you go hunt these elk. Now, Shawn, where we left off is we were working a bull. We had been making these soft cow calls. He was coming. Now, what happens when, other bulls, it's now getting late in the bar, and the other bulls are saying, hey, there's a gal there. This guy hasn't quite made the move. I'm going to get. When do you decide that rather than me trying to be this cow and trying to pull that bull, now I've got other bulls coming in. When do you switch and say, okay, we're ready to throw down here, or give that impression and see if I can bring him in that way?
Right. Well, that you got to be really close on that, and that can take, because he's already has what every other guy's already is looking for. Mm-hmm. He's already got his cows. Not many bulls, they'll come in. I've challenged bulls and they've came in, but I'm telling you, 80% of the elk I've called in have been with the hot cow, with the 2 o'clock blonde. Calling him in. Okay. So if you want to shoot a bull, you want to shoot an elk, and you can't get the main herd bull to come, but you've got satellite bulls. Right. You start hot cowing and sit in one spot. If they're there bugling, and you will hear them respond with a single tone bugle, they're coming. So, see what I mean?
We had one. Now we've got, say, 2.
Yep. Or 3.
Yep. So what's your next move then, cowboy?
Well, I would start. This is what I would do personally. I would sit and I would start calling to each bull, individually if I can, but whichever one responds the most is the one we target. Okay. And year before last, my wife and I were hunting, and we had 4 bulls going below us. And
four of them. Okay.
Four bulls going at one time, and kind of a funny story, but she starts eating almonds. And I look at her, it sounded like a horse eating a carrot. So I looked at her, I'm like, are you kidding me? And so anyways, I walked off so I could listen instead of hearing the crunch, crunch, crunch.
Kind of forgot where she was at for a minute. She was like while she was watching a movie.
That's right. So I wanted to hear, so I was calling to him. Whatever bull would answer that the most, okay? If that makes sense. Whichever bull was responding to me, I would, in desperation, make the 2 o'clock blonde call. It's an actual cow in heat to him. And that bull, we ended up pulling from way down in the canyon all the way up. And I was able to actually video it. He came around us, and her maximum effective range is 40 yards. Well, the bull came in broadside in the open in a meadow at 43 yards. Whoa. So she still wasn't comfortable with it, but ended up, he came up and around us, and I have on video he came into 15 yards, but he was straight on. I did not want her taking that shot. She's a good bow hunter. She's killed elk. She's killed deer, stuff like that. But the front on shot like that's not good, where he's looking right down on us. But he whirled and took off. And to tell you the effectiveness of that call, I called him back, but he was on the other side of the trees. He came back after he was sitting there looking at us at 15 yards. She's at full draw.
Well, and this is it goes back to what you were saying is, don't panic. Don't start yelling.
Yep.
Just be patient and keep them going. And the way that you knew, okay, you got 4 bulls responding, but of course they're like people. They all have kind of a different tone to them. So you know, one's keying on you.
Yep.
And so now you're listening to the others, but you understand this one's getting close.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. And you could tell by the one, when I would call, he'd respond immediately with a single tone bugle. And he came, we watched him come up through the trees. He was running uphill.
And the whole time you're just doing this
Yep.
cow call. You're not challenging. You're not doing any of that. You're just bringing him on up.
He's already coming.
Okay.
We already got it working. Now we just got to get him in. But unfortunately, she wasn't able to take a shot on that bull. If he would have turned broadside at 15 yards, he'd have been done.
Yeah.
But there's multiple times with that it's, I could go on, but it works. And like I said, if people just understand the calling, like later on in the rut, I think what you're getting at is, when do you challenge a bull?
Right.
Okay. To me, that's a last defense. Okay. It's not working. You're close, you get in there, you can hear his cows mewing. You might be able to hear him in a wallow in the timber. And it's just everything you've tried is not working. Okay. I will challenge him. Rip off a multiple tone bugle, or another thing that really gets these bulls fired up. When that bull bugles, mimic him. Mimic that bull. Whatever he does, you do. So he sends off a challenge bugle with some grunting. Do exactly the same thing, and it really fires them up. Why, I don't know. Nobody likes to be mimicked, right?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like at the back to what you were saying. It's like at the bar, and now you're saying, hey, pretty boy, why don't you push off? And then he goes, well, I'm no pretty boy. You're the pretty boy. Yep. And there you go. Same thing. Now it's going to get Western, as they say.
Going to get some ugly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But that's a good way. There's been opportunities we've had, and we've had some success, but not a bunch, on just sneaking in on a bull. If you have a hunting partner that can call and can be way back behind you and keep that bull going, and you sneak in trying to get on him, that works great. But not everybody has that person that can call and keep them going to do that. The stock. And remember, you're not going in on just one elk. You're going in on all the cows too. So you can double the ears and double the eyes and the noses of everything that's there. It's tough. Not saying it can't be done, because it's been done. Sure. My brother-in-law killed a hell of a bull, saw him in his bed and snuck up on him. It took him a couple hours, but snuck up on him and killed a really good bull.
But you don't pull this out until you've kind of exhausted everything, and you've been doing those soft cow calls, and he's not moving. Getting a little response now and then, but not moving. So which do you try first? Do you try to do the challenge, or do you try to sneak up, or what's going to dictate that next move?
Sneak up a little closer. Like I was saying earlier in the podcast, sneak up more in his comfort zone where he can come up. Because remember, as soon as he leaves, here come the other bulls trying to get it on his hair and peel one off.
Right.
So he doesn't want to leave those cows. So if you can get in really close and start to call and lure him in that way, where he's going to think, I can just run up there real quick and sweep her back down.
Right.
That's the best case scenario. Okay. Challenging him. He may come in. He may come in and fight, but probably greater than more, he's going to push those cows out of there. Now he's got a bull that, okay, he's willing to stand up to me and fight over these cows. Do I want to lose what I already have?
Yeah.
Right? Let's move over to the next drainage.
Let's go, gals. We're out of here.
We're going to another bar.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So that's, the challenge bugle. Yeah, I've challenged them. I've challenged them to kind of locate to see if they're in a canyon. And then, okay, boom, I know there's a bull there. Now I can go around, get in my position, however I want to hunt that elk, and then go in and just cow call.
Okay. So that kind of takes us to dang near closing time here. And you've given us a couple different scenarios before the bartender starts saying last call of which one am I going to do? Or when do you say, you know what? I'm going to live to fight another day. I found a good spot. I know where they're at. When is it time? When do you tell yourself, nah, I'm not going to do either one. Let's just,
For the end of season, you mean?
No, let's just shut her down for today and try to get back at it. I don't want to make either move.
Yeah. Well, that if I don't have enough light that I think that I can get in, or early in the morning, because those elk come out in the evenings. They're doing their thing at night. They're at the wallows. They're feed grounds, stuff like that. If I cannot get to that elk before it gets too hot, where they start moving to bed,
Right.
then I will pull out. But in that afternoon, I will go back to where they went. So they're coming back. You want to catch them in that, and that's a good way. That's a great way to track some elk, because you already know where they're headed, because they have bedding areas. Those elk use the same bedding areas till they're pushed or something happens, or other bull comes in and pushes them out of that location.
Well, I want to take one more break here, and when we come back, let's get to where I think happens a lot with hunters, and that is we're coming up at the end of the season. I still haven't filled a tag. What am I doing wrong? What should I do? So let's get into that and see if we can figure that one out, because that's a real common thing. We'll talk about that right after this. So I'm going to take a little minute here and talk about one of our great sponsors, and that's Superior Hardwoods of Montana. They've been doing hardwoods for 41 years. It's hard to believe they've been doing that for that long, but 41 years. And through all those years, that make it since 1977, they have been constantly growing and improving their business and knowledge. And what they've ended up with is pretty incredible, folks. 100,000 square feet of flooring is waiting for you to take a look at. They're located in Missoula, Montana. If you go down Highway 93 through Missoula, you're heading south on 93 from Missoula, you're going to see Superior Hardwoods of Montana right across the highway from that great big round workout place called the Peak Athletic Center. You can see it right there. Anyway, they have developed a process there that's really unique. They call it guiding you through the woods. And what they are able to do is take all this 41 years of incredible knowledge and be able to help you figure out exactly what kind of wood you want to add to your home, whether it's paneling or siding or, beautiful floors. And they've added really, I think, kind of an exciting series called the Pioneer Series, Wilderness and Heirloom Series. They're floors that can be, and woods, I should say, that can be specifically crafted to your specs of what you need. And another thing they've done is be able to repurpose woods. So, literally you're putting a flooring down or paneling up in your house that is a piece of history. And it has that unique character to it, and they've really brought that back to life through their milling process and that. It's just incredibly unique. It's something that you really should go see. Now, you can go to their website, superior-hardwoods.com, and there you can get a really good flavor for what I've been talking about here. Or you can go on to Superior Hardwoods right there in Missoula and take a look. Be ready to take a long look, because they have so many great things. 11 acres, basically, of stunning architectural lumber sitting there waiting for you. So I can't stress enough, go see Superior Hardwoods of Montana, either on the web at superior-hardwoods.com or stop by and see them in Missoula. You can call them 251-2272. Of course, that's area code 406, 5120 Highway 93 South. There in Missoula is where you find them. And again, superior-hardwoods.com. Let them guide you through the woods.
And we're back here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast. Shawn Plakke is my guest. So I think, what are some of the big mistakes we make towards the end of the season? What have you seen, especially in your guiding days and that are some of the top mistakes that hunters will make at this time? Because I realize that kind of gets into that desperation. That might be where we do start yelling, if you will.
You know, I'm getting into desperation here.
Yeah. Don't hit the panic button. So let me tell you, you brought up a great thing that I should talk about. The biggest mistakes I've seen hunters, a lot of elk have survived because of a mistake that hunters make. And I've made some myself. We all have.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I already talked about setting up in the wrong place and behind a bush, behind the trees where you don't have an open shooting lane. You got to have an open shooting lane. You want to also be able to say the elk is downhill from you and you're facing that elk. If you're right-handed, you want to turn your body to the right. So when you draw back, nobody shoots a bow straight on.
Right.
Okay. But you want to have it, you want to over adjust because your body, you can pivot further back to your left than you can your right. And again, this is as a right-handed shooter. Okay. Left-handers are different. So you want to be able, if a bull comes up on your left, you can't turn far enough because you haven't set yourself right. You want to be able to pivot back and actually hold your bow out. Check your pivot. Make sure you can pivot back. You got a shooting lane behind you to your left. Check that. Pull your bow up. Don't pull it back. Pull it up. Check and make sure. If he comes there, I can get him. Comes over here, I can get him. But you want to adjust yourself. Get comfortable. And lean against a tree. So all you have to do is just get off that tree to shoot.
Okay.
Okay. And same goes if you're kneeling. If you're kneeling, you're going to get down. You're not going to see near as much as you are standing. Again, don't move. Sit there. They're coming. Don't move. If they're not within range, don't move. Don't draw your bow back at the possibility of that bull standing there looking at you for 3 to 4 minutes. That's tough to do.
Yeah.
It's tough to do. Another thing, big mistake hunters make, especially during the rut, is they hunt in the morning, go home in the midday, and then they go home and, go back out in the evening. Well, we've killed a lot of elk between 11 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And here's why. Here's why. We call them timber cruisers. That's what we refer to as, I got a timber cruiser over at whatever gulch or whatever. So what happens is, so these elk, they're feeding all night. They're up doing their deal all night. Then they go to bed. Okay. They travel a ways. Okay. Well, these timber cruisers, they will walk bugling, single tone bugling to a cow. They'll go through the timber and cover drainages, ridge tops. And what they're doing, they're just trying to catch a scent of a cow that's dripping because they know they follow that. They're going to hit their bedding area. That cow has stopped. It's like finding a pot of gold. See what I mean?
Okay.
So they're not moving. You're not getting a moving target. They'll follow. But in the midday, those bulls, there's satellite bulls, is what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
They're going to get on a scent of a cow and they're going to follow it because they know chances are that cow's bed down in the timber somewhere. And that's how they can find it. And especially in New Mexico, you could be glassing these mesas and you'll see these bulls all by themselves, bugle, head down, literally like a hound dog. Pick their head up, bugle, and they'll just go and go and go and go. And then you'll see them sniffing around, and then pretty soon they take a totally different area. They go a different direction.
Kind of like they're just doing random calls. Reminds me of the old Saturday Night Live skit of, Night at the Roxbury, where they're going, you, until finally they get something to respond. Kind of like what they're doing there. Now, these timber cruisers, as you've nicknamed them, do they tend to be since they're a satellite bull, do they tend to be the younger bulls, maybe not quite as the prized herd bull that we're looking for, or will they surprise you?
They'll surprise. I think you can get anything on that. We've seen some big bulls timber cruising. We've watched them. We've heard them. They're just, all they're doing is trying to find where cows went from their feeding area up over into their bedding area, trying to catch a scent, and then they're going to follow that over and find them.
Yeah, they got to start somewhere.
They got to start somewhere. Yeah. Exactly right. So that in the midday, even if you just take a nap on the mountain, you'll be surprised at what you hear in the midday. You'll be surprised. And why go home if you could stay and hunt? I can promise everybody on this that's listening to this podcast right now, you're not killing one from your couch.
Right.
Right.
Well, and I would think this might be kind of as the season's winding down, that might be a technique that you go, geez, I've tried everything else.
Yep. Just stay there.
Yeah.
Just stay there and listen.
Let's not give it up. Let's, like you say, maybe take a little nap in the woods there for a minute or two, and then let's see if we catch one. Good idea.
And just cow call to them. Start cow calling to them. They bugle, respond with a cow call. They multiple tone bugle. Don't answer them. Don't answer them. That's a huge one. That's a huge tip. Single tone, they're bugling to a cow. Multiple tones, they're bugling to a bull. And so if you respond, if you think about that, listen to what the elk said and listen how you're going to respond if you respond at all. Okay, because a cow doesn't respond to a multiple tone bugle. Nope. Some guy wants to fight and some girl's going to pipe up. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
Okay. And like you say, sometimes they're just checking to see if you are who you are. And
if you have a boyfriend.
And if you got a boyfriend, you may not want to get entangled.
That's right.
There are those cows that do like to have guys fight over them.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
And I've always been one of those that I just as soon know what's going on and avoid that one.
Yeah, me too. Kind of. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Any other typical mistakes we should watch out for?
Well, one thing I wanted to mention about archery equipment. Okay, everybody, well, not everybody, but most people now are using peep sights on their bow. Okay. Well, they have these strings that are zero stretch. They don't twist, zero twist, all that, where your peep, when you draw it back, when you're shooting 3D targets, stuff like that. Yeah, it's great. It stays perfect. So when you pull it up, you can see through it. I can't tell you how many bow hunters I have seen draw and let off and start messing with that peep sight. So I recommend a peep aligner. They make an aligner that makes sure it's straight no matter. Because what happens is you go on a 5, 6, 10-mile hike, you're tired. Not everybody carries their bow by their riser, the handle. Right. Okay, so pretty soon you got it bouncing. You're holding onto the string and it's bouncing in your fingers. And what's happening is that string's slowly rolling with every bounce. And it takes the twist. It twists up your peep. And so I recommend, a lot of people are going to say, oh, BS, I've never had that problem. But I'd rather have that added security for $12 because I've seen hunters literally let off on a bull that they could easily have shot because they can't see their
Say what that is again?
It's a peep. The peep sight, it's a peep sight aligner. It aligns it. It's got a surgical tubing goes up to your riser, up to your string, your cable, and it comes down. So every time you pull your bow back, it straightens out your peep sight.
Got it.
So it isn't twisted because you can't see through that. And so that I recommend that. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm not going to do that.
Why do some bow hunters not want it?
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. Why wouldn't you want that added security of knowing my peep sight's going to be where I need it? Because you could be hiking along and a bull step right up on the trail or wherever you're at. You don't want to have, because you watch, I shoot with some guys and they're always, every time before they shoot, they knock their arrow. They give their peep a twist. So why wouldn't you want that added? But I'm just going by from guiding, and I guided for years, of what has messed up guys that are paying $10,000 for a hunt. What has messed up their hunt? Simply a $12 piece for $15. It's a good added security.
Well, and I suppose some people, you don't like to change, but these are things to get used to. What else we got here?
Well, the other thing I was going to talk about is when you do go to call, no matter where you're at, always be by something. Don't stand in the open. We kind of have a saying, if you get in the sun, you're done, because you stand out like a sore thumb. Get in the shade. Stand in the shade before you start calling, because you never know what's right there. You never know. And as a guide, I haven't been set up and called and boom, there's a bull right there. And guess what? We're standing in the open. So you know how that all works.
Yeah.
They're still running.
Yeah. You're busted.
Right. But you got to set up, have your hunter, at least, you don't necessarily have to have an arrow knocked, but it's always a good thing to have one knocked. If you're going to start calling, be ready for action. It may not happen, but it may. And you want if it's going to happen, you want to be ready for it.
Okay.
But those are big reasons that people don't kill animals right there. Not being prepared. Just they're tired. They've been blowing calls all day. They're tired. They're hungry, thirsty. And they get out there and they just start making stupid mistakes like that. Get in the sun, you're done.
Okay.
So stay in the shadows.
Anything else? Not
really. I think we covered a lot of material.
We covered a ton. I got one more question. For guys like me, they're getting a little long in the tooth. And we can't, we don't have that endurance anymore, but we want to use some of these tactics. Do you modify it at all? What would you advise for the older guy that just can't cover as much ground?
Well, if you know where a water hole is, a wallow, again, that comes down to, use Google Earth, check, drainages, look for different greenery growing in the bottoms where there's water. And you can build yourself a little hide, a little blind, sit on it all day long. But just cow call every 45 minutes, hour. Just give a little soft cow call, because an elk, they come into those kind of leery. And if they're hearing a cow down there or hearing a sound of elk, well, they know that they're pretty safe.
Sure.
But if that's, not everybody needs to go for 10 miles. There's elk. I mean, we've gone and driven roads and bugled off the road to get locate a bull and hunted them that way. Literally parked on the road.
Okay. How about the other planning tools? Lastly here, and then I've taken a lot of your time here, and I definitely want you to come back and talk some more. But what are some of the other tools? Block management. Are you a fan of block management? Do you use it?
Yeah, I'm a fan of block management. I've used it in the past, and it's been great. And we appreciate all the ranchers and farmers that allow people to do that, because without them allowing them to open up their land to us, there's so much that is shut off from us.
Yeah,
and it's a shame that people don't, and I can understand it, because the people litter and they do the wrong thing. So, with that said, if you're out there hunting on block management and you see a piece of garbage, even though it's not yours, let's just grab it.
Yeah,
we don't want to ruin that. We don't want to ruin that.
Right. Well, when you think about it, since block management got going, and really they've developed it a lot just over the last few years, but they've added now since the beginning over 7 million acres.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
So, that's 7 million acres we didn't have.
That's right.
So yeah, good point. Take care of it, respect it, and do the right thing. Lastly, I know bow selection is a very personal thing. It could be whatever. Any do's or don'ts there for someone that may want to start out, or maybe they say it's time to upgrade my equipment and, get a little better at this. Any suggestions there?
Well, this day and age, there's a lot of great equipment. Are you going to buy a piece of junk? I don't think anymore. I think back in the day there was cheap, and it was cheap. Now we've got such great bow manufacturers and stuff like that. But you want to look at what you want to spend. Everybody's got a budget, and kind of see where you want to be. I recommend shooting good arrows. Shoot a good arrow. Don't skimp on your arrows. That's like skimping on bullets in a rifle or skimping on a scope. Get a good sight, and get good with it. Practice with it. Get your shoulder in shape to hold that thing up. But as far as that, it comes down to, if you were to go down to any sporting goods store, tell them what you're looking at, what you want to spend. They're going to set you up with the right equipment.
Okay. So that's gotten better these days then. All right. Well, I can't thank you enough, Shawn, for all your time. And this concept that you have here is just fascinating to me. And it, as we've gone through it from 5 o'clock getting off work after we cleaned up a little to 2 a.m, it's true.
It is true.
It is true. And I'll be really anxious to hear from you folks listening what your thoughts are on this, and especially give us your questions. And Shawn, is it okay? You gave me an email. Is it all right if I put that in the podcast description then? So folks, when you came and you found our podcast, whether you were listening to the Montana Outdoor Radio Show and we gave you the link there or that, there's that podcast description. In that, I always put links in there. So I'm going to put a link. So you click on it, it'll open your email automatically, and it'll be all ready to go. And you can shoot Shawn some questions, and he'll get back to you and give you some more great tips. So let us know about that. And then also, my email is there. You can click on that, and that'll open up for you. Let me know what else you'd like Shawn to talk about the next time he comes, and we'll have him back real soon, because it is the time. And we're heading to the bar. We're cleaned up. Let's see if we can take home that great one that we've been always wanting for. So, is it going to be Cindy Crawford? Is it going to be, well, I'm saying my age here a little bit, Farrah Fawcett? Or is it going to be the gal that's maybe had a little too much to drink? We'll see. And I'm really anxious to see what you folks thought of this, and especially if you've applied any of these things and had some luck to you. So be safe out there. Again, remember what Shawn said about taking care of the landowners. Be good so we keep that around for a long time. But be safe, have fun, and good luck to you on this opening day here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Montana Outdoor Podcast. It has been brought to you in part by Superior Hardwoods of Montana, home of the largest selection of in-stock, high-end wood products and flooring in the western United States. Let them guide you through the woods at superior-hardwoods.com. And by Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer in Missoula, home of Boss Snowplows, CM Truck Beds, and Diamond Sea Trailers. Just go to rmtte.com for more information. So what did you think of today's podcast? Send your questions and comments to Downrigger at montanooutdoor.com. We should be dropping a new podcast this next Saturday. Until then, we will see you soon out in Montana's great outdoors.